In this video, I'm going to talk you through how to update your local BOPS admin dashboard, including adding planning policies, pre-app requirements, consultees, and informatives. So here you can see I've logged into the local admin dashboard for Southwark. If I go through and select the policies page, then you can see here on this left toolbar that I can manage policy areas, manage policy guidance and references. I can add informatives and I can add the pre-app requirements. So starting off with the policy areas. So the list that we've used for Southwark, this matches up to the officer report templates that we have. So you can see here we've got different themes that officers typically will write about during their assessment, for example, air quality, housing, amenity, etc. So to add a policy area, you can just click on this link, give it a description, and then hit submit. And then you'll be able to build up your list of areas, and you can also edit and delete these as you need to. So moving on to policy guidance, this is where you can enter details of relevant policy documents that officers need to do their assessment against. So here I've got the Southwark Local Plan, the London Plan, and the MPPF. But you can also add in details of, for example, area action plans or supplementary planning documents. And you can add other policy references and guidance, such as the TCPO. Moving on to the policy references, this is where you can actually add the individual policies from those guidance documents. So here I've started adding policies from the local plan, and from the London plan, and from the MPPF. So to do that, you can just select Add Policy Reference, and then you're asked to provide the code and description. So for the code, the way that I found it best is to actually enter in the guidance document name followed by the policy. So for example, Southwark Plan Policy P1, and then for the description to enter the policy name. So the reason that's probably the best way of doing it is that on the officer side of BOPS, when they're doing their assessment, they're going to be selecting these policies from a drop-down list. And if you just put in the code, just for example, P1, for example, which is one of our Southwark Plan policies, then not all officers, especially those who are newer, are going to actually be able to recognise what those policies are from. So by entering in the guidance document name as well, that makes it a lot easier to organise the drop-down list and for officers to correctly select different policies. So you could just fill that in. So for example, I might say here, Southwark Plan Policy P1, which is our affordable housing policy. I could put that in as a description. You don't necessarily need to fill in this field here for the link. But if you wanted to, then you'd just be able to do a link. For example, you might have individual web pages for different policies. And then for the area, you can just select the most relevant area. So for example, if I was doing affordable housing, then I would select this housing area here and then just hit submit. And that's going to then build up your list of policies. Navigating through this list, you can either use the pages at the bottom, but you can also search the references in the search bar there. And again, you can edit or delete those as you need to. So moving on to managing your informatives. Again, very simple to fill in. All I've done here is I've taken a list of informatives that we use at Southwark, and I've just individually added each of these just by giving it a title and then entering in the relevant text. And then finally, managing requirements. So this page refers to the pre-app requirements, and it is in effect your validation checklist. So at the end of your pre-app report, when you're telling the applicant what they would need to submit at the full planning application stage, this is where you can compile that list of the documents and evidence types that they might need to submit. So to do that, you click on Add Requirement, and then you choose the category. So for example, it might be a drawing or it could be a supporting document. Give it a description. Again, you can put in a link to the relevant webpage. So for example, you might put a link straight through to your validation checklist webpage if you have one, or to your validation document. And then you can enter information at the guidelines. So for example, if I was doing drawing floor plans, I might then put in a link to our validation checklist on our website. And for the guidelines, I might put in information such as must be to a 1 to 50 scale, must have a north arrow, etc. So once you've filled in all of those requirements, you're then going to get this list that you can then work through. And again, you can edit and make changes to that list as you need to. And the way this list is going to look to the officers during the pre-application assessment is that when they come through to the adding requirements task, they'll be given a tick box list of all of these requirements that you've added, and they can just tick and select the relevant requirements for the pre-app type. So that's how you add your policies, your informatives, and your pre-app requirements. The way you can manage your consultees is click on the applications page up at the top. Manage consultees is extremely easy. Just click on add consultee, provide a name, email address, and then the role and your organization. And you can do this for internal and external consultees. So for example, you might want to put in your internal design team. You can just provide individual officer name irrelevant, or you can just call it the design team, put in the email address, and then select the internal. And then once you submit that, that will again just add to this growing list of consultees in your system. In this video, I'm going to talk you through how to update your local BOPS admin dashboard, including adding planning policies, pre-app requirements, consultees, and informatives. So here you can see I've logged into the local admin dashboard for Southwark. If I go through and select the policy